Hey, Dr. Berg here. In this video, we're going to talk about what to do when you've tried everything and nothing is working. I'm going to create a series of videos in the next couple of weeks that will cover and address all the other factors that go beyond just losing weight, okay? So when you've tried everything and nothing has worked, you want to look outside the box, okay? So the concept that we're going to talk about in this video has to do with the dominating hormones that make fat. See, there are various things that the majority of people focus on with trying to boost their metabolism or increase the fat-burning hormones, and there's 6 of them, and that's really cool, you know, exercise, eating certain foods. But what about the 3 dominating hormones? There are hormones that make fat that will nullify any chance of losing weight because they cancel out that fat-burning effect of the good hormones or the fat-burning hormones. Yeah, I'm sorry to tell you that, but yeah, the first one we're going to talk about is cortisol. So in the presence of just a little bit of cortisol, it cancels out a lot of good stuff. It's kind of like if you had a really great day and everything went well, and then that one little negative thing happened that just ruined the whole day. The same thing in the body. So this explains why portion control doesn't work or everything in moderation, because just a little bit of the bad stuff can wipe out all the good stuff. And I'll have people that will say, well, I'm just going to eat what I want and exercise more. Well, sorry, that may work if you're 18, but not when you get close to 40s and 50s because these hormones are involved. So there's 6 fat-burning hormones. There's 3 hormones that actually dominate and make fat. First one we're going to talk about is cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. It's made by the gland on top of your kidney. You got 2 of them right here. And it's activated by all forms of stress, emotional stress, physical stress, and other types of stress, food stress. So cortisol is a stress hormone. In the presence of cortisol, it's going to be really hard to lose your belly fat. In the presence of sustained cortisol over many, many years, it will literally make you age very, very fast. And it even will it'll turn your muscle into sugar. So if your diet is good, your body is actually being converted to sugar as fuel, even if you're not eating sugar. So it's a very deadly hormone. So what we want to do is 2 main things to focus on. Number 1, we want to reduce stress. All right, let's just go a little bit deeper in how to do that. Number 1, exercise obviously will decrease stress, especially if you're sitting behind a computer all day. You need to get out there and exercise to get it off. But you want to exercise based on your fitness level, your physiology. Don't overtrain. In the next couple of videos, we'll get more into like how to exercise. But in this little video, I'm just going to make you aware that you need to exercise. Walking would be good if you're not sleeping that well. So I would exercise to the degree that you're sleeping. So if you're not sleeping and you're fatigued, you want to exercise a lower intensity, like walking. If you're sleeping and have energy, you can increase the intensity. So go based on how you feel. If you don't feel like exercising, then do it very light. But walking is very, very important when reducing stress. And you can do yoga and stretching and things like that. Secondly, the sleep. The sleep is very important because sleep is where you extract stress as well. But you want to get in bed by 10:30 because that's the first wave of sleep. And ideally, we want to sleep for 7 hours. If you have a problem with sleep and you're not able to sleep because you're stressed out, I recommend taking adrenal support formula because one of those before bed will help you get into the deep sleep. It's as a little solution to that. Number 3, nutrition. There's 3 main key nutrients that help people sleep. Number 1, the B vitamins. And I like to get my B vitamins through nutritional yeast. And not brewer's yeast, but nutritional yeast from the health food store. Take a tablespoon and put it into your food. You could put it on a little plain yogurt and then consume that once a day. That will help that internal anxiety, stress buildup, and it actually will help vivid dreams and very active dreams and nightmares. If you have that, we know you're deficient in B vitamins. Second one is calcium. Calcium, do not take calcium carbonate. Get a calcium citrate or a calcium lactate and take that before bed because calcium will help wind you down. So calcium and B vitamins, and then potassium. I like to take my potassium from the vegetable source, you need 7 cups, because not only will you get the potassium from the vegetables, you'll get a lot of other nutrients as well from those vegetables. So we need that potassium very high. If potassium goes down, then stress goes up, because potassium is a physiological relaxer that helps you sleep. Okay, so we got that. Next one, decrease stress from people. I would say that out of all the things that stress people out, other people are on the top of the list. Here you have a situation between, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. You're working in a place where your boss is a jerk and you can't control the situation. So any situation that you're out of control, you can't quit. You're stuck in a certain situation. Let's say you're married to someone who you're not really happy with. That could be an ongoing stress. And even, let's say you're stuck taking care of a sick parent who's slightly irritable, and you're taking care of a child at the same time, and you're right in the middle. So that is a situation. There's basically 2 types of people. People that bring you up and people that bring you down. And I really kind of, regardless of what people say, I pretty much go by how they make me feel when I'm around them. And not necessarily that I'm instigating something, but there's certain people that you're around them that you feel like crap. And they're usually invalidating you, and they might do it covertly. They might say something like, oh yeah, you're kind of a cute chubby person, or if you lost a little weight, you'd be really cute. Like these little critical comments, those people, you just need to avoid them, because these are stressful personalities. And then you have the physical stress. Physical, that's the body problems. You have maybe diabetes, you have pain, you have sleeping problems, you have menstrual problems. That will keep the stress high as well. So that will also increase cortisol. That's some things that I work with on the physical level. But now we get to the next thing. You want to do 2 things. You want to decrease stress, and you want to increase pleasure. That's right. Pleasure will decrease cortisol. But very few people are really focusing on getting more pleasure in their life. They're focusing on eliminating or avoiding stress. So that's cool. But I'll see this like with a female, a single mom, pushes themselves, take care of the kids, the husband, going to school, working, and pushing, but there's no time for her or any pleasure at all. I see this on a daily basis, and they're stressed out to the max. So you want to find things that you enjoy doing and start doing them, and actually therapy increase the pleasure of your life, whatever that might mean to you. One way people get pleasure is through eating, but what we want to do is we want to replace those sweet carbs with fat. The reason why people don't do that is that they don't realize that the sweet carbs will spike insulin, but the fat doesn't. But we're taught that most diets, you need to stay away from the fats. But believe it or not, the fat-burning hormones, actually the fat-making hormones, none of these actually are influenced by fat. So fat is a neutral food. It's something you can consume as a pleasure source. So people do get pleasure from bacon and eggs, fattier butter, cream. So any of those fattier recipes, deep-fried chicken or shrimp in maybe some coconut oil with some almond flour, right, with spices. Not a problem with that at all. So we want to replace the carb with more fattier foods, okay? So those are some of the tips to lower cortisol. Okay, so the next dominating fat-making hormone is called insulin. Okay, now insulin is a hormone that regulates the sugar in your blood. So when you lose the ability to regulate sugar, it tends to go high. Okay, and that's called diabetes. Low sugar is called hypoglycemia, but high would be diabetes. Okay, so what triggers insulin is sugar, and you may already know that. Okay, so you know you need to avoid sugar. But what I want to talk about is an interesting fact that I want to put more emphasis on because it's very, very, very important. In the presence of just a little bit of insulin, I'm talking about a little bit, a tiny bit, especially as you age and your metabolism slows down, a little bit of insulin will cancel a lot of good work that you're doing. In fact, for some people, all it will take is about 80 calories, that's like 1 cookie, half a glass of juice, a half a glass of wine, which basically is sugar, to block fat burning up to 72 hours. Yeah, I know. So this is the problem, is that the philosophy of everything in moderation or portion control does not work when you're talking about hormones. So insulin is a very powerful blocker, and I'm not just talking about actual sugar and candy. I'm talking about all the hidden sugars like breads, pasta, cereal, crackers, biscuits, waffles, pancakes, muffins, soda, and then you have juice. You have what else? You have MSG, monosodium glutamate. It's in a lot of foods. It's hidden now as modified food starch. I created a whole video on that in somewhere on this blog, so you can check it out. But insulin, we need to avoid that. Okay, now, lastly, the last one is called estrogen. Now, estrogen is also a dominating hormone. It's not as important as insulin, but it's a factor that can keep you from losing weight. Number one, if your menstrual cycle is too heavy, if it's too long, if it's too painful, if it's irregular, chances are you're estrogen dominant. Too much estrogen will make you get fat in the hips, in the butt, and lower pooch below the belly button, and it will eventually cause a fibroid, which then will make more estrogen. Yeah, so it's just kind of a never-ending cycle. And then of course there's environmental estrogens, like you would take birth control pills or hormone replacement therapy, or even a pregnancy could spike the estrogen. Environmentally, it could be also the hormones in the food supply that you're consuming. And it also could be soy. Soy is very estrogenic. So these are just some common things that you have to be aware of when you're trying to lose weight and nothing's working. You want to look at anything that's triggering these counter hormones, not just these right here. So I hope I increased the awareness to look at other things outside the box, because you have to be able to look very lateral to see what's causing your situation. I'll see you in the next video.